Welcome to the Million Vegan Grandmothers. Oh, it's been such a year. This is the year we really did launch. The idea came into fruition a couple of years ago, and this was our year. So thank you everyone for joining us and inspiring each other and starting to take on some of the tasks. And the thing with grandmothers, by the time we get to be a vegan grandmother at this point of the game called life that we're learning how to play, is we all have a really full life. So when we join together, and anybody listening that wants to join the grandmothers, we are so happy for just your presence, for starters, just showing up and being part of our community, just the energy, and then just sharing yourself in whatever capacity that looks like. And so don't be afraid to say, I can't join another organization. We're just really gathering together so that when there was something really big, we can say, hey, we got 1 million of us and we're going to show up, because this is really, really important. All of us, the whole 1 million of us. And that'll be fun. That'll be really, really fun, because I know that there's some really long time vegan activists here. And I would like to do a little shout out to Judy and all the other longtime vegan activists that have been doing this for decades and decades and decades, and still show up in loving kindness and non-judgment and appreciation. So thank you, Judy. And on that note, I am just
Tammy.
Thank you, Judy. I love you. I'm just going to turn it over to Judy. She's going to read our declaration. And on our website, millionvegangrandmothers.org, like under Climate Healers, you will also see the pledge. So feel free to take that pledge anytime. You can take it live and we can put it on our Facebook group. That would be so fun if everyone here took the Grandmother's Pledge and sent it in, and then we put it on our Facebook group, at our YouTube group. So Judy's going to read our declaration, and then we're going to do a short interview with Reverend Carol Sanders. She's going to tell us a little bit about the Unity retreat that's coming up, and how that's all connected to her Spiritual Forum podcast and her Now the Spirit of a New Life, which is such a gift. So thank you, Judy. And then after that, can we just go popcorn style? Whoever would like to share about what's going on, maybe in their organization, what it feels like to be a vegan grandmother. And then Reverend Beth Love's going to end with an intention for the grandmother's closing prayer. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy. So here is the Million Vegan Grandmothers Declaration that I will read. And it's a beautiful declaration, and it comes from our hearts for sure. We, the Million Vegan Grandmothers and wisdom carriers, join together using the power of love. Love for the children and grandchildren of all beings and for Mother Earth. Welcome our all people, regardless of gender, age, and official grandmother status, who align with the values of veganism and this declaration. We affirm the right of all beings to live in a natural, toxic-free environment, which allows all to thrive and to lead sacred, liberated, sovereign, and joyful lives. The power of our love is unstoppable. Is it echoing? Are you all hearing the echo?
It stopped now. It was
Did
done.
it? Okay. So I'll repeat, the power of our love is unstoppable, because I love that phrase. We do not allow this planet and all who live here to be destroyed. We are creating a vegan world of peace, freedom, and loving kindness for all. We believe that the true nature of human beings and our highest calling is to be kind, compassionate, nonviolent, and partners with, not dominators of all life. We believe this is the time of the great awakening of all humanity, to leave behind the destructive nature of Homo sapiens and become who we have always been destined to be, Homo Ahimsa, Ahimsa meaning non-harm in Sanskrit. As vegan grandmothers, we are here to midwife the birth of the new compassionate human and bring in the new era of a vegan Ahimsa world so that our children and grandchildren and those of all species can thrive and be free. So isn't that beautiful? I love that. And that's why we're here. And it's just, I like the strength of it, that we're not going to allow any more destruction. We're here to stop that. And just like we would stop our grandchild if they started to run across the road in traffic, we're going to stop all this destruction. So, but I want to introduce our distinguished guest and brand new grandmother, Reverend Carol Saunders. And I'm going to read a little bit of her bio, which is very impressive. And this is just a small part, I know. She is an ordained Unity and Interfaith minister. She founded and led a Unity Spiritual Center in a Chicago suburb for 10 years. Currently, she hosts the Spiritual Forum podcast, where she engages in extraordinary conversations with people from around the world on a wide variety of spiritual topics. And I listen to as many as I can, and they're all amazing. So I highly recommend that you check in on her podcast. She also leads an annual whole planet spirituality retreat at Unity Village, where spiritual journeyers gather to learn, connect, and co-create a world that works for all beings on the planet. Carol became a grandmother exactly 3 weeks ago today. She lives in Wisconsin with her husband of 42 years and her 2 rescue pups and 3 rescued cats. Carol, tell us about this new baby. What is her name?
Her name is Quinn Aliana Logan, and she was born on August the 16th. She has a Cancer sun and a Cancer moon. So
Oh,
we're
boy.
looking for a real water baby. Now I have a Cancer sun and a Pisces moon, and so I'm thinking that, and my husband has a Cancer moon, so I'm thinking that
Oh my
she's going to need
gosh.
her grandparents in some way.
She is, yes. Very
Yeah,
sensitive.
her parents are like air signs. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And I also want to say that I was chatting with my sister right before I got on here because she writes me an email every Sunday. And I said, I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm being inducted into the Million Vegan Grandmothers.
Right.
So, so I'm feeling that there's some sort of ritual that's going to happen. And I'm going to come out as a Million Vegan Grandmother.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So,
think you already were in so many ways, but now it's
yeah,
official.
now it's official. I know,
Yeah.
I know, and it's been a long-term time happening. I'm so happy for my daughter who is 35, and this is her first baby, and she hasn't even been married for a year, so it's almost a honeymoon baby.
Yeah.
But we're she's very very excited, and it was not the easiest labor, but for those who remember, you forget that after a while and once you have your little one. And so it's really been fun to kind of watch her go through that forgetting process and just really,
Yeah.
really bonding with her baby. Yeah.
And she's a big baby with lots of
Yeah.
hair.
She's got lots of hair like her dad. And she's 8 pounds, 13 ounces, which is actually, I was an 11 pounder back in 1958. So
Oh,
23
oh.
inches I was. And they were like pulling, pulling.
And your mother forgave you for that.
My mother was out of it, that was back in the
Well,
day
that's true.
when they
Yeah.
woke up the next morning and they brought their babies to them. My
Mhm.
mother had 5 live births she had another birth. I was never able to discern whether that baby was born dead or died, but she had 6 births. But the only one she ever witnessed was my oldest daughter. So she was in the labor room with me when my oldest daughter had was born, and so it was the first baby she ever saw be born. So we've come a long way. Actually,
Yes, we have.
we've come a long way away from our natural roots, and now maybe we're starting to crawl back a little bit. It's still
Yeah,
very, very medicalized birthing. So
it sure is. Yeah. But yeah, our mother's generation, they were knocked out pretty
they were
much.
knocked out. Yep, they were knocked out. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Well, so congratulations
thank you.
and welcome to the Million Vegan Grandmothers. But tell us, we all want to hear about this fabulous retreat that you're having. I have been to the first 2 myself. They were both fabulous, absolutely wonderful. And I want to tell everybody that Unity Village, Missouri sounds like a really remote place, but it's actually part of Kansas City. And so you just fly into Kansas City and get a shuttle over to Unity Village, which is a beautiful area. And I will hand it over to you, Carol, to explain what all's going to happen. It's going to be very exciting, and it's going to be October 19th to the 22nd.
Yeah. So this is in our 3rd year, and it kind of started as an idea that Victoria Moran and I had in conversation to have a a gathering of spiritual folks at Unity Village that would be kind of centered on the planet and centered on animals. And the reason being is Unity's co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, some of you may have heard the story a million times, but they were ethical vegetarians. Actually, they were just regular old folk until Harry Church, who was the printer of their magazine, was invited over for dinner, and he was like, "What are all these dead things doing on the table?" And it kind of took them aback. And can you imagine? So they bless their hearts and a tribute to them that they kind of woke up versus defended it. They woke up. It's like, well, you're right. We have these dead bodies on our table. And so they gave up meat. And not only that, but they preached and taught that our connection to animals does matter, that universal love includes them. If we want world peace, we got to stop carving them up and putting them on our plates. Part of our spiritual development is to give up animals eating them, and they also taught about the metaphysics associated with all of the suffering and the energy of the cruelty and the suffering that the animals were internalizing into their muscles, that we're ingesting that into our bodies, and that it impacts our physical nature as well as our spiritual nature. So they taught this very clearly. And they also had a pure food company where they sold meatless meat substitutes. They also bound their Bibles in non-leather, something called Caratol. And they also started the first vegetarian restaurant in Kansas City. So they were real pioneers in this. And this was kind of what Unity was. It wasn't only what Unity was about. Unity was a healing ministry, but this is kind of a large part of it. And so over the years, when family took over after they passed, it kind of changed, and people kind of got concerned about how churches get, keeping the people and all of that. And so it really slid back on those values. So the reason this retreat is at Unity Village is it's and resurrecting these teachings within Unity. It's also putting this energy of the ethics and the love and the peace and the harmony right in the heart of the nation, right in the Midwest, where the energy.
Yeah, her internet seemed a bit spotty, but we can,
Yeah. Well, hopefully she'll get back to us.
yes, there we go. She's back.
There she is.
Unmute.
Unmute, Carol. There you
Okay.
go.
All right. Yeah. Unmuting is not usually my problem. So in the Midwest also, because, this is kind of beef country, right? This is kind of farm country. So, let's put our energy there. And it's a great, great retreat. I know many of you may or may not be interested because it's just like another vegan thing you've done. But I would really appreciate if you would consider either coming to be in collaboration and to share who you are, or think about who in your life might benefit from coming. And especially if you know people who are in the area, the Midwest area, make it pretty easy for them to come. The Unity grounds are beautiful. We're going to have fabulous organic plant-based food. Our keynote this year is Renee King Sonnen of Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. Silas is going to be there from Climate Healers and hopefully telling us about the Food Healers program. Victoria Moran's going to be doing morning yoga, and she's also got a presentation. We've got really great workshops, lots of spiritual practices. But what's interesting about this event is last year, at least 20% of the people were not vegan at all, not vegetarian, not, some people didn't even know what retreat they were at. and it was so cool because you have this space where you can have long-term vegan activists, and then you can have absolute babies who are just learning, wow, I didn't know animals are treated poorly. I'm like in the same room and connecting and holding the space for each other and coming out as just a real connected body. So it's kind of a community building event as well. So anyway, that's kind of a summary of what we're doing. I don't know what else you might be interested in learning. Judy, what do you think?
Well, now the Fillmores wrote extensively about this, as you said, and you have collected some of their statements that came out of their newsletter.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
so
Well,
how can people get that? Is there a way
yeah,
for people to get that?
yeah. So just as background, so Charles Fillmore preached this from the pulpit, like he was, and I don't know if you know anything about this, is like back in the early 1900s. Okay, these people were like not tiptoeing, kind of like, hey, everybody, if you think this might call to you, they weren't like that at all. They were like, you, we must give up. I mean, the language is just so direct and so clear. And he would speak this from the pulpit. So I was at Unity Village once years ago, and I just pulled out all of his talks on this topic. And I got a big stack. And I also had many of his books. And I didn't read all of them. I just went through a bunch of them, and I started noticing there's themes here. And the themes, so there's those talks, and they also published articles in the Unity magazine. There's a whole column, whole vegetarian column. So there was a column all about the morality and the ethics and the spiritual message, and then like recipes on the other side. And they had a cookbook and everything. So this is really a part of the magazine, part of their message. And so I went through all of that, and I just started discerning the themes. And to me, the themes that they were talking about were universal love, world peace, ethical living, and the metaphysics. I kind of mentioned that earlier. So I just extracted the writings that that I could just put into those categories, and I summarized it in a booklet called The Forgotten Teachings of Charles Fillmore, how our connection to animals affects universal love, world peace, ethical living, and spiritual development. And it's a booklet form. And if you're interested in it, it's on my blog site, which is called wolfandthelamb.com. And that's from the Isaiah scripture, where, the vision that we will have this peace, and the wolf will lie down the lamb, and, all of the animals that consume each other and all that, they will all be together in harmony, and the little child will lead them. And I love that scripture because I think the little child, everyone interprets that the little child is Jesus, but I think it's our inner child. It's the child in us that's going to lead us to this harmonious world that, Judy, you talked about. in the, what was it? It wasn't called the pledge, whatever it was you read about the million grandmothers. What was that called?
The declaration.
The declaration. Yeah, the
Mhm.
declaration.
Mhm.
The world that declaration is talking about, I think it's our inner child that's going to lead us to that. Anyway, that's why I named my blog site Wolf and the Lamb, and wolfandthelamb.com. You can buy my booklet there. It's really for mostly is for people who are connected at all to the unity movement. What I want this booklet to go into the churches and and people are leading classes and things like that on it. Another thing we're going to do at the retreat, I don't know if any of you all are, spiritually centered or church goers or anything, but a lot of churches, especially unity churches, and I know a lot of others do too, they end with this song called the peace song. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And, I just have been in churches for decades, and, we all gather in this circle and we sing this song, and, just all this love and harmony, our hearts are open. And then we go to a potluck and eat chicken, and it's maddening. It's maddening. And if there's not a potluck, we go out to the parking lot, we yell at each other, whatever it is, we sing this song and then we don't live it. But what we're going to do in this retreat, I'm so excited. Sally Zito is our resident musician this year, and she and I are rewriting the song. So we're not rewriting it so much that it won't be familiar to everyone, but we're tweaking the lyrics to include everyone, and to include the animals and the planet and all of that. And we're thinking it's going to be familiar enough that people could take it back to their churches with just a few little tweaks to make it a little more up to date. And, that we can get that message into the churches, and maybe some people will realize what they're singing and maybe shift their potlucks a little bit. So anyway, that's another thing we're going to be doing at the retreat is music and introducing a new peace song that really is about peace.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for
Let me,
sharing.
Tammy, I don't want to interrupt, but I wanted Carol to be sure and let everybody know how they can register for this. And I just saw Donna is coming. That's so great. Good. I'll get to meet you in person. Great. So we go to the spiritualforum.org,
/retreat.
/retreat. And that's where you go to register.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and my
if you
podcast
come.
is there too. Yeah. You
Yeah.
will love if you come, and bring a pre-vegan friend. We had lots of pre-vegan friends come, and a lot of people walk away, with enough impetus, enough in their heart that they make the shift. We saw it happen a lot last year.
Well, plus all the meals are vegan and organic and very healthy. And so that's very convincing too, to people who haven't, really thought about being vegan.
Yeah, particularly people who have not thought about it at all. They don't even know what you're talking about, but then they're really intrigued by the food and the love of all the people. And, if you're on the spiritual path, you're eventually going to get there, might as well be today.
Right. Thank you so much, Carol.
Carol. Yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And as for being a grandmother, I've really come to the realization that now I have another being to include in my circle of worry.
Yeah.
My circle of concern.
It goes on and on and on.
Or your circle of prayers.
Absolutely. I know all that. I know all that. I'm a minister. I teach that. You got to transform that. But still, the concern is right there.
Right. Your heart is wandering around with your children and your grandchildren.
Yeah, right. And, they're all born into a toxic world. And so, we just talked about detoxifying the world, but, the baby's born into a toxic world. And so I just really do have a hope and anticipation that this generation of children that are being born are luminous and going to bring a whole new level of love. So that's my hope.
You're here. Yeah.
I wanted to mention I wanted to mention that I have a dear friend who will be at the retreat, and I'm so glad that he'll get to meet 5 of you. Yeah,
Ooh,
so I'll pass his name on. Mhm.
On
great,
that,
great.
Beautiful soul, yeah. Mhm.
on that note, Allison, did you want to share a little bit while you're?
Oh, well, I was married in the Unity Church in the 80s, the late 80s. And I since have moved to Peru, where I lived actually before then too. But we had a little interlude back in the States. I moved from Peru back to the States, and I was part of Unity. My husband was on the board there in Montclair, New Jersey. And so I'm quite familiar with the Fillmore's story, and I feel I have a large space in my heart for the whole Unity movement, I'll call it. But anyway, it's so delightful, Carol, to have you with us as the Million Vegan Grandmothers, because I think you'll find as you begin to embody that name for yourself, you'll find that people are just anxious to hear from you, that it's something that people are yearning to hear from the vegan grandmothers. So I think it's a door opener for you and for all of us. And I hope that you can make good use of it. There's so much that we need to do. Yeah. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Allison, did you want to share just a minute or two about the grandmothers or something that you've really enjoyed about our process this year?
Yes. One of the people who came and lived with us here in Peru is not able to be with us today because she's just moved and she doesn't have internet. But Lisa Burke, who is a letter writer for the Million Vegan Grandmothers, she just loves the letter writing campaign that we've been doing this year. And it's so thrilling for me because she became like a sister in the 3 months that she was here. To have her find her place among the Million Vegan Grandmothers, it's almost like this is what she's been looking for decades. And so I see that promise for so many people of our age. I was born, I think, a year before you were, Carol. I don't know when any of the rest of you were born, but anyway, so Lisa is also, she was born the same year that I was born. And there are so many of us who have work yet to do and who feel strongly about the direction we want the world to go. And so it's been thrilling for me, and I hope you also find the same opportunity to bring other grandmothers to the Million Vegan Grandmothers and to have them find their place, find their voice, and to begin to represent the type of future that we want to create for planet Earth. So that's been, and of course, she brought Binica to the Million Vegan Grandmothers. And so, you know, there's that kind of potential of each of us spreading the word about the Million Vegan Grandmothers. That's what I would share in this particular event.
Hi, everyone. Allison, I can't wait to connect with you about our
Beautiful.
projects ahead. It's such a great honor to be a part of this group. I hope I'm not too noisy here, everyone. I'm a vegan golf grandmother, and I've been on the road, and I don't know if you can see out there, but my grandson and his grandfather are out living their dreams, playing golf on the golf course while I'm working on my computer and tuning in with you all. But I'll tell you a story, a vegan grandfather story real quick. My husband, I married a Seventh-day Adventist, and their church was fascinating because the founder of the church had a vision of a vegan world. And she founded the entire church ministry as a health ministry. My son's grandfather is a third generation Seventh-day Adventist. And everyone in the family was a doctor or a nurse or a dentist, or you were a psychologist, which was kind of a new, trendy, not as well accepted type thing, because being a medical professional was so valued in their culture. So anyway, you know that they've been benchmarked for their plant-based practices, and they've lived long lives free of healthcare issues like from the standard American diet. But what happened when I was part of the church for 10 years, which was just like opportunity knocking at the door of my heart, but I wasn't ready to hear it. I was watching it. The word vegan wasn't there yet, but they were eating this different food. So anyway, the standard American diet pulled in even people that were raised and were benchmarked for their practices. And my son's father loved eating meat. All of a sudden, you'd go to the church potluck and it was vegan, but you'd go out, and as long as it was clean meat, according to some of the Bible quotes about meat, then they would feel free to eat that, to the point that he ended up getting COVID and was in a coma for 4 months and suffered from a heart attack and strokes. And at every hospital, I asked them to please put him on a plant-based formula, because in the ICU, they'll put you right up to a dairy-based nutrition formula that you can't even get the ingredients list for. It looks like ground chicken. Anyway, I finally got him on a plant-based formula and gave him foot massages and played his favorite music, and he came back to life again. And he's vegan now. So we got him on a vegan diet, and now he's out there walking with just a cane and playing 18 holes of golf with his grandson, and committed to lifestyle medicine and speaking up for the new study of lifestyle medicine. We had to look long and hard to find him a lifestyle medicine doctor here in San Diego. So I hope to see more of them in the future. But thank you all for hearing my story. We survived. They're out living their dreams on the golf course right now. And I'm gonna look forward to more opportunity ahead to share the love and the good news that the pendulum is swinging back again. I'm so proud of what the Adventists did. I'm so proud. If we could just get them to return to those standards, and I'm working on it.
Liz, let me just mention that here in Lima, we have a group of Seventh-day Adventists who have the clinic where we have our insurance, and it's a vegetarian hospital. But they have been putting out vegan messages, emails to all of the people who are insured there, including ourselves this year. So they've been putting out the vegan message. They also have a university that teaches youth how to make vegetarian food, and they market vegetarian products throughout the city. So I just thought I'd share that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's super good news, Allison. I'm glad to hear it. And the church kitchens are a beautiful gift in our communities. You guys, I've been to some of the most beautiful potlucks at Seventh-day Adventist churches. I hosted vegan nights in our church kitchen at the University Church Kitchen near my home. And we did that all the way up until COVID. Oh, it was so exciting. It's so fun to bring lots of people to the church kitchen for a meal that was $5 or something wonderful. And we had volunteers in the kitchen cooking together and listening to music and sharing the joy and the love. And the food companies would send us products, and the grocery stores showered us with products. And the Veg Fund was there with a giant vegan cake for us when we wanted it. So everybody enjoyed it, and we'll revisit that again. So I encourage everyone to visit your local church kitchen and take a look at what we can do to bring the community together and utilize those amazing facilities. Thank you all. Thank you, Reverend Sanders, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks. We have probably just about 10 more minutes before we stop for a few minutes of questions, and then Reverend Beth. So maybe we'll just take about 3 minutes, whoever would like to share, because I would like to hear from everyone today, if we could.
I'd like to share really briefly. I'm Gabrielle Lamond. I'm one of the climate healers, and I just want to show you this picture that I just came across the other day. This is a picture of, let's see, I have to unmute, let's see, where's the camera? Oh, I'm gonna have to do this later, I think. But this was my wedding in Hawaii at a Unity church. My husband has since passed about 3 years ago, but we had a lovely Hawaiian wedding, which was where we were living at the time. And my daughter, who's in the front there, was 6 years old. She's 43 now. But I wasn't a vegan then. I've only been a vegan for a couple of years, but it was as a result of the convergence and a couple of documentaries that I became a vegan. And I do this as a grandmother for my grandchildren. My daughter's children are older than she was here in this picture. But they're not on board completely with it. But my daughter came yesterday and she said she was really going to make an effort to eat more plant-based. So I was really happy about that. And she's been concerned about the environment for a long time. When I go to her house, she makes me use little drips of water at the sink to save water. And there's a whole panoply of things that she does. But anyway, I do this because I want a world for them and all species, the future generations. And I'm really glad to be part of the Million Vegan Grandmothers, part of the letter writing campaign, and do what I can from home because I'm rather confined. But it's great to be here, great to be part of the convergence, and to you all.
I have some stories to share also. Carol, I think you nailed it when you said that having this grandchild makes you look at things a little differently. Like now you're protecting the world. And I think people who don't have children or grandchildren also feel that. And that's what brings us together. And I'm glad that Judy was saying that, you know, Salish is a member. And so grandparents, parents, people who don't have children are all welcome here. And the idea is that we are together trying to preserve our planet and save, you know, stop the violence against animals for the future. And I will say that I was watching a show, I think it was I forget what it was. And the main character was shooting something out of a cannon, and he was so proud that you don't need to have metal, you can have something, and he shot it out of bacon. And so the host was asking, well, why bacon? And he said, well, that's the funniest thing that you can use to shoot. And I thought, that is the least funny. And I just had to turn it off and try to comfort myself. And coming to the grandmothers and writing a letter to these people and expressing it. Now, nothing may come of it, but as Jill was saying earlier, taking that step can support us. It's what, you know, honoring the daring thought, as Dr. Jean Baird wrote. So being part of this community is so supportive. And I will share just another little thing. Liz was talking about in our meetings about how she has events changing to vegan. And I was inspired by that. And I also had this from the last convergence. And so I'm so proud to say I was on a committee to plan an event for the League of Women Voters here in Maryland. And so we talked about food, and, you know, they all know that Donna's a vegan and blah, blah, blah. And they're very supportive. They're very understanding. And so they allowed for me, we were going to get pinwheels from the grocery store, and I know what's in those pinwheels. And I said, I will make the pinwheels. And they said, great. And so I'm so pleased that at our event, it's going to be vegan. There's going to be vegan food there. Yes, I just feel so, and it's, you know, it's from the support of this organ, you know, the group here, that we do that. So, and I'm looking forward to the retreat. Thank you for sharing that, Carol. I had, by the way, sent a box of Dr. Robert Baird's books. I'm giving them away. The one how to change your, you know, how to think to change your world. And that's where Silas got a copy of it and read it on the way to Glasgow. And so, because Judy had taken it with them and shared them. So I'll be bringing another box when I come. And so I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you, Carol. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Donna. And some of the support that Donna's talking about is we meet every Wednesday in the same room, in the Convergence room. So if you save that link, every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So yeah, if you want to join some of our meetings, one a month or whatever you choose to, you have some stuff you want to share, that would be amazing. Thank you. Yeah, it's just nice coming together and just sharing what we're doing. And we're usually always writing letters. You'll see all those letters on Climate Healers. We're usually in a process of writing a letter. So there's lots of letters there that can be shared. Yeah, and you can forward. And so, Judy, would you like to say a few things? And then if there's time, I was asked when I did Vegan Nation, if I would just sing a little song, and I'm like, I'm not a singer. She has a lot of musicians on there, but I did a fun little video that wonderful Ray, who's part of Climate Healers, I said, hey, can you just put some birds or something, music in the background for this? It was only a 2-minute video. So if there's a couple of minutes left, I'll just get Silas to play that video for my time, because it kind of sums up everything that I really want to do here in my precious few years left. Okay. So Judy, thank you. And then I'll play Silas will play my short video, and then Beth, if you could share and wrap it up with an intention for us, that would be awesome. Thanks, Judy, again for being here and being you.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to be here. And I'm so really inspired by the whole idea of the Million Vegan Grandmothers. You know, there's a lot of young people who think that we've left them with a really messed up world and don't realize that there are many of us who've been working on this for, like you said, for decades. And well, we haven't fixed it quite yet. Give us a couple more years, but we're here. And I think it's important for the young kids, the young activists, to know that we're here, that we have accumulated years and years of experience with activism, and also just years and years of heart, I guess, to not give up and to stay with it, and to understand that this is, as Silas says, the greatest transformation of humanity is happening right now, and we are the midwives for that. And it's a very big deal, and it's not just physical activities that we're doing, it's spiritual work that we're doing as well. And just being these carriers of wisdom is to me a very spiritual aspect of our work. And that is what I believe has a huge impact and gives me so much hope that we can do this. As dire as everything looks, I think we have this energy of the grandmothers, grandfathers, the elders, that we're not giving up. We're gonna keep doing this. We believe it's gonna happen. We're going to transform the world and make a vegan world. And so I love the whole concept of vegan grandmothers, but also all the actions that you all are taking. And so yeah, just very, very glad to be here. And I admire you, Tammy, so much for making this happen. And Silas, I know you were a big part of making this happen. So thank you.
Sailesh, I'd love it if you shared a little bit. Sailesh is at all our meetings, and it's just another reminder that everyone is welcome to the grandmothers, everyone that's vegan. We, you know, in the grandmother community, where the grandmothers were still held in such high regards, and they still are in many cultures. They had the whole tribe to be a part of their vision. And that's always how it is with the grandmother. No one's excluded in that circle. And so please join and support us in, you know, whatever way that would look like. We have a couple grandchildren. Chelsea Davis has been doing a little bit of work for us, and yeah, so a little reminder. So thank you, Sailesh, for being that grandfather that's always supporting the grandmothers.
Thank you, Tammy, for doing this and putting it together and gathering this amazing group here. You know, the past year has been amazing working with you, with all of you. And for me, it is about honoring the feminine and bringing the nurturing side of all of us. And, you know, whether we are born male or female, it doesn't matter. Whoever we are, we have a nurturing side that needs to be enhanced. And this is why the idea of the Million Vegan Grandmothers resonated so much with me. And I'm so glad that you have, you're doing such great work with it. Should I play the video now?
Sure. It's very improv-y, but this is my contribution to what I've gotten out of this last 6 months. So thank you. And then we won't have a lot of times for questions, but please contact grandmothers at climatekillers.org. You know, we have a website that we are really happy to share. So please join us, and any questions, please put in the chat, and then we can grab them out of there. We'll save the chat and respond to you. Yeah, thank you. Welcome to the Million Vegan Grandmothers. And we have started. We've gathered. This year has been our gathering time. We've started our YouTube channel, our major letter writing campaign, which you can find on climatekillers.org. And we're gathering and joining until we become 1 million plus of us. And recently I was asked to share a bit of love on children and grandchildren and nature and forests. And to sing, which is a little out of my comfort zone on a public platform, but here we go, because I believe I was having a conversation with Dr. Sailesh Rao. Many of us know who Dr. Sailesh Rao is. He's an amazing systems engineer, analyst, engineer in the movement for shifting the planet to one, as far as the acronym HEAL says, for human, earth, and animal liberation. So I thank you all for being here. I thank you for taking time to get quiet, protecting and living and enjoying the forests and the birds and the species of all our grandchildren. Okay. And I will just end with a little song. We got the whole world in our hands. We got the whole wide world in our hands. We got the whole wide world in our hands. We got the whole world in our hands. We got the little bitty babies of all species in our hands. Yes, us vegan grandmothers have the babies in our hands. We got the whole ecosystem in our hands. We got the whole world in our hands. Remember, people, the plight of our world is still in our hands. The grandmothers are joining to bring us all together. Let's take love, commitment, and the fierce love that we have for our human grandchildren. Let's take that love to protect the species of all grandchildren. Namaste, vegan. And thank you for being here.
Beautiful, Tammy. Wow, thank you.
Well,
It's a
that was
great,
such improv. I had a few minutes to do it and I quickly decided to just do it, which is what we're all doing right now. We're multitasking to get everything done that we know is important. And thank you, Beth. Please take it away.
yeah, so my heart is so full, and I'm just going to invite anybody who chooses to join me by taking a nice, deep, deep cleansing breath. Let's let it out. Let's take another deep cleansing breath. And close your eyes if you choose. Just let it out. And one more. In this moment, we go inside. We go to the place of the Most High, where we meet the divine, where we remember that there is only this one, perfect, whole, and complete, infinite and eternal, everywhere present. All there is, all there will ever be. And in this moment, we remember that because all there is and all there will ever be is divine, we are divine. We are one with the one, no separation. And so as we show up this day, we remember how powerful we are, for we are one with the all-powerful. And we take that power consciously and we direct it toward the stewardship of all grandchildren of all species everywhere in this beautiful planet. We show up in deep, deep gratitude for each of these vegan grandmothers, grandfathers, stewards of our earth, stewards of our young. And we give great thanks, especially for Tammy and her beautiful vision of 1 million grandmothers worldwide who are showing up as guardians, as stewards of the truth, which is that we are all divine. And so we set aside our worries, our fears, our concerns, and instead we show up in possibility consciousness. We show up knowing that every single need that it reveals itself to us is a prayer request in the making, and we respond with prayer. We respond with a certain knowing that we are on the way, that we have been called to the most sacred and beautiful possibility there ever has been, to this greatest opportunity of all times, of restoring, of being a part of the restoration of this beautiful earth. And we as grandmothers, because we love our grandchildren so much, and for me, that is all of the children of the world, that we know that anything is possible to support these beautiful beings of light, to have a habitable world on which they can live long, healthy, well-fed, compassionate, and just lives. In a beautiful web of life that includes all of life. And so we know we are guided and supported. We know our steps are directed, that our work is protected, that we are in alignment with something so much bigger than what I can say with my words, or we can imagine with our human consciousness, with our human cognition. But we know what it is, for it is what we are, and we have touched the divine so many times, and we trust, we have faith that this felt experience of the divine is all we need. And so in deep, deep gratitude, I let this word go. I know it cannot return void. I know that this or something better, that every word that has been spoken during this session and during this convergence is like a prayer that goes forth into the universe, the friendly universe, in which the all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere present God of our understanding of any name is always saying yes. So we can leave this word with absolute faith that it is done. Thank you, beloved. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I let it be, I let it go. I know it is done, and so it is. Amen.